Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. Game number 1 was our first upset of the tournament, and we're only on week 1 as Envision got their win over London. Now we're looking at as our second game, Bulldog versus Demise. Demise beat Envision yesterday, and Bulldog unfortunately did lose their first game of the day. So talk to me a little bit about this matchup, Orcs. Are we expecting another upset, or where do you feel that the power balance is leaning right now?
I feel like on paper, these two teams are fairly evenly matched. Demise had a solid performance, pulling back into that game up against the likes of Envision. And Bulldog, I don't think the performance was awful. I think Draft kind of did hold them down a little bit. They didn't have the tools to deal with the opposing side. We saw a good performance from Bulldog's jungler, but ultimately, it didn't really matter at all because Fortel just couldn't get the momentum to sort of take over the game when he was dealing with so many scaling options like the Kindred, like the Karma mid, the Lulu, the Aphelios. And it just, you don't really have the tools to deal with that ultimately when there's so much protection, and they didn't opt to go for the Gragas, which I think was a little bit of a mistake.
I knew you were going to mention it, but it is a weakness. You go for the more flashy, I want to carry pick when you had a Gragas Yasuo open to you. It was such a strong lane such a strong duo if they wanted to go for this. I did not to. We'll see whether or not there's a change in philosophy going into today's matchup. We are into picks and bans. The Fresh has been denied by Bulldog and Demise. What do they want to ban away? We expect to see Varus at some point. Typically, you'd see it on the red side because I feel like if you're blue side, you're quite happy to blind pick the Varus first, and there's the Varus.
Yeah, we just often these power picks are going to keep showing up in these first rotations of bans. We saw Envision take a little bit of a different route with more targeted bans, and we're seeing some of that here with the Lee Sin away from PFI. Definitely a champion he has a lot of strength on. Although it is sort of a higher tier pick, it doesn't really compete with the likes of the Trundle and the Graves in terms of the priority right now in the meta. But we're moving that one away. Limits those playmaking options. I'll have to see if Bulldog continue with that line or if they just go for the power picks, taking those off the table. We're still seeing the likes of the Ornn available, the Set available, the Aphelios, which has been huge, the Syndra as well. Aphelios first pick has been coming in frequently for all of these teams, and I feel like with the Ezreal here, I think Demise should just ban away the Aphelios. I think if you leave it open as sort of the lone standing ST80 carry, you're not going to have a good time. But instead, they opt for the Set. I have a sneaking suspicion what we might see here. At least what I'd hope we would see here, and not too many surprises.
Surprise, surprise. 200 years of Aphelios. He does get locked in here. Now it's over to the side of Demise. What do they want to be picking up? What's been left open? Because I see a lot of power picks denied. That Ornn that we've seen pretty much constantly prioritized on red side as a first pick, if it is left open, could get picked up. But Rifty, he wanted to play that Set yesterday. He wants to dominate the lane, so maybe he leans towards a carry. And actually, they leave that Set open. Not Set, sorry, the Ornn open.
There's the likes of the Wukong still available, the Ornn available in the top lane. If we can look at the Syndra in the mid lane. We're going to opt for the Nautilus here, so looking to potentially punish this matchup and quickly prioritize on that one. It is a threat to the Aphelios, but there will come a point where he just becomes tanky enough to deal with the threat of the CC, thanks to the sheer amount of bulkiness that you end up seeing on Aphelios, thanks to the Death Stance, which is just an insane item right now. I expect to see Bulldog pick up the Lulu in this rotation. They're currently facing down 2 strong tanks. It's a good jungler in the current patch. It does limit the ability to take the Ornn for Bulldog, but they're going to quickly pick up the Kindred. So it's a good matchup in the late stage of the game. Bulldog have got 3 great scaling picks, but Demise right now have the more early pressure. Question is going to be, do we see an AD carry come out just to round things out with that sort of ability to threaten lane? Misfortune is typically the one we tend to see, but there are other options available. The Senna could even come in here, working in tandem with the Nautilus. Looks like they're going to go for the Callista, so something that has seen a lot of priority in the upper leagues, but we haven't seen too much in the UKLC. A lot of lane power, and right now from these first 3 picks, we can instantly say that Bulldog are going the heavy sort of scaling game. Demise are very much more about challenging in the early level.
We actually saw the Callista banned every game yesterday on blue side, so is going to make its way through the picks and bans today, is going to get picked up here for Nemki. And that's going to be the Ornn ban from Demise. They don't want to give over something that's going to slow the Callista down and kind of deny her the ability to kind of kite and fight these fights here. So it's over to the side of Bulldog. What do they want to ban away? Where are they going to pressure? Jungle and AD carries are the only things we've seen. So we expect both tops and mids to get slimmed down. The Syndra, pretty standard. So let's have a little look at that.
Yeah, I would not want to give that composition a Syndra as well on top of that. It would just make things even more dire. I feel like Demise is just willing to cut down those scaling options like the Ornn, and also things that may be a little bit more difficult to punish. So could see one of those safe mid laners also taking a hit here from the start of Demise. And LeBlanc is something that is particularly blindable, and it would offer some early pressure to sort of facilitate this Kindred. Orianna could have come out from Bulldogs. The blind you see teams tend to go for. So now Demise have a choice. Do you want to prioritize the blind mid for Wolf just to play something safe? Or do you want to go for something for Rifty, but give up the counter pick that he could potentially use to abuse Kira? And it looks like they are leaning towards that Wukong pick that was left open. Obviously, you can get a lot of lane pressure with this one, and Rifty now on this champion. Again, it's just playing into that early pressure, looking to take those mid-game team fights and just put so much power into the Aphelios, so he just cannot withstand it.
Alrighty, now Bulldog, what do they want to be picking up into this Wukong? And what do they want to be picking up blind with the Orianna, the LeBlanc, and the Syndra all banned away? The only kind of comfortable blind pick I can foresee being open is that Zoe. It's just going to be the Mordekaiser to deal with Rifty's Wukong.
I really like the Mordekaiser.
Yesterday Thomas did go for the Yasuo, so that is potentially an option for him.
I really do not like the Yasuo here. You have so many limited options with regards to sort of knockups. It's basically essentially the pullback from the Mordekaiser and then the ultimate from the Lulu, which just aren't great. I think for here, you want to play something that can sort of contest mid-priority more. Cassiopeia does a decent job. I think it's not the best champion, but it's a decent blind. It does get outranged a little bit by the Azir if that gets locked in, but ultimately, the thing that I favor the most here is the Mordekaiser. I really like the Mordekaiser and the Wukong. It gets to the point where you can comfortably 1v1 him. If he does try and ult into your team, you can just Death Realm him, and then he's limited in terms of options. So I think it gives Bulldog some sort of tools in those mid-game fights if they want to approach some of them. And it looks like it's just going to be the Azir for Wolf. So something that does outrange the Cassiopeia, but again, Bulldog have a lot of tools as they get later in the game. Demise, it's not like they fall off a cliff, but they definitely need to get the ball rolling sooner. And I think particularly around this bot lane, that is going to be the critical aspect. The longer that you shut down Jacob for on this Aphelios, and the more gold you get into Nemki, the better state the game is going to be going into that mid game for Demise.
Alrighty, well, with the teams locked in, Orcs, talk to me. Looking just at the champ select, what team are you liking the look of so far? Which one's really started to pull towards you?
It's difficult to say. Honestly, I feel like I would have had more faith in Demise, but the early game against Envision yesterday was a little bit rough. I think Bulldog, if they can just stall it out, should be able to go in the later stages with a lot of strength. But at the same time, I think Demise's bot lane really can show up today. So I think my eggs are going to go in the Demise basket for this one.
That's fair. Well, we'll be loading through onto the Summoners Rift nice and quick, getting ready to go into our second game of the day. Demise, or looking for a 2-0 start to the week, and Bulldog, they do not want to be going 0-2, so they need to find this win here. This is an important game for them if they want to keep morale up in the team nice and early now. Kindred, again, we see Fortail kind of leaning towards the flashier jungles. It's been something he's done consistently. Obviously, into the Trundle, it's nice, and it's not as dire as it was where it's like the Gragas, you have the Yasuo, you should have hit the Gragas, but you went for the Nidalee instead. There is, the kind of 1v1 potential available to Fortail on this Kindred, but do you like this pick, or do you feel like something like the Jarvan would have been better here? What are you feeling about that?
I mean, I like it because it gives you a big safety net in the later stages. Any tools they want to throw at the Aphelios are limited by that ult. But I will say, in the earlier stages, Trundle is really strong into the Kindred just because you have the ability to chase him down. If you go that phase rush, you have the extra speed from your frozen domain. And then on top of that, you can also just chomp him, sap away all that AD. Kindred needs to have momentum in the early game. You need to start getting those stacks, and he may actually find himself struggling a little bit here. That's part of the reason why this Trundle is such a powerful pick. But if you do get through the early phases, you will be in a really powerful position because there's no hard CC coming out from a Trundle that's able just to stop the Kindred from casting that ultimate. And eventually you just become a tank who isn't going to be able to offer enough damage to really deal with the sort of protection afforded to this side of Bulldog. So I think the Kindred pick has strengths here, but also there are some issues with it. And the fact that they have a lot of scaling elements to their team composition means there's no one really he can necessarily play around. Bot lane is going to be a little bit rough. Mid lane is going to struggle to maintain priority, especially with the low mana pool for Cassiopeia early. Top lane, I do like the matchup for the Mordekaiser, but it's not always going to instantly get the impact you want. So that is my concerns for this Kindred, is because Kindred isn't just one of those champions. It's similar to Kayn, where you can't just go, oh, I'm going to sit back and scale. You actually have to contribute. You actually have to do something. You have to contest for the stacks, just like how Kayn has to force fights to try and get his evolution. And I think that's where they might look to struggle a little bit in this one.
One of the things we're actually seeing for Wolf here is he's gone for the lethal tempo on the Azir. Yesterday we had a bit of a talk about this. We saw a lot of Azirs actually going for the Meteor for the lane poke, but I really like the lethal tempo on the Azir. You proc it nice and easy with your Sand Soldiers, and it just allows you to get those extra few auto attacks in. Like you're saying already, in an outranged matchup for Thomas Go, this is actually quite nice for Wolf because he can send the soldiers forward, get those auto attacks in, and just peace out before the miasma comes down from Thomas Go. So it's a pretty exciting mid lane matchup. It's a bit of an old classic one back in the day where it used to basically be Ryze, Cass, and Azir as our like 3 mid laners that ever got played, and they just kind of played in that weird triangle. So a bit of a flash from the past here. Curious to see what kind of jungle intervention we'll have there. Also, for me, I'm looking at Chromax, because if you match PFI and Chromax and they roam together, there's a lot of CC, there's a lot of slows, there's a lot of kill potential between those two. And one of the key things we saw in our last game was the jungle support synergy, the ability to roam around that map and set up for plays. Now, is Nemki going to be safe alone on the Kalista to do that? We'll have to see. But that's what I'm looking really for. The jungle support kind of roams around the map, especially towards this mid lane, because if you can land a hook onto that Cassiope here, you're probably going to kill her pretty quick.
I mean, for me, the ideal cycle of play is you put some pressure bot, shove the bot wave in, Nemki resets. You then head towards mid, you put some pressure mid, it allows Wolf to push in. You then have options. You can either reset Wolf and then reset your support jungle to prep for, say, a dragon objective, or you can then lean towards bot lane as Nemki is getting back to lane, and then you can use that power just to go for some control, shove it in, potentially challenge for a dive. There are options available, but I think the way it should go in this game is that PFI and Chromax will work in tandem, but it's sort of playing through mid to get the priority, transferring that pressure down towards the bot lane. So instead of just going two-man bot, which is support and the AD carry, you end up bringing 4 members because you free up the Azir to move. And with it being an Azir into Cassiopeia, you should be able to find that priority if you have the safety sort of facilitated by the rest of your team.
Well, we did have a quick issue loading into the game, but we are finally there. We're ready to take the rip for game number 2 of the day. It's Bulldog taking on Demise.
I think for Demise, getting a 2-0 week would be a really great start for them. Bulldog. That's the big thing, is that there is going to be at least one team who today ends up going 0-2 in the first week, but it is something you absolutely want to avoid. As you sort of talked about earlier, Jake, there's obviously the sort of morale aspect of it. It's never a good feeling. You want to get that win under your belt, get the momentum of the team going early, but also just those 1 game differences, potentially 2 games if you compare them to a 2-0 start, can make a significant difference when we get later in the split. And especially if teams like London are already dropping games, we may see a situation where a lot of teams are clumped together and you're struggling to distinguish yourself and get those playoff spots. So as soon as possible, you want to start picking up games.
Alrighty, well, no cheeky invades happening this game. Looks like everybody's just going to take off to the parts of the jungle. Bot side is where PFI and Fortel are both starting up here.
I just want to highlight something as well. So next week's schedule for Bulldog, they are facing Enclave and they are facing London. Now, I know London just got beat by Envision, but my prediction coming into the split was that Enclave and London had the strongest rosters on paper. And as much as we saw a great performance from Envision, it was still an upset. For Bulldog to go 0-2 this week and then be facing down 2 stacked rosters, it's a scary place to be in. So I'm going to highlight how important it is for them to get this win and at least get a point on the board before a tough week.
What's up for the moment? Demise are the ones who are getting the prio in the lane bot side, looking to pressure out mid lane. Pretty even. The Azir obviously got to shove in to Thomas Go. And this top lane is the one that's exciting. The Mordekaiser versus the Wukong. So, Lane, you were excited to see. You really liked this Mordekaiser pickup.
Yeah, I think you get to the point where you can duel the Wukong, and then on top of that, it's just the effect this champion has in teamfights. Wukong loves to find backline access. You get so much efficiency from the fact that you can ult twice, get the double knockup. You can also ult a wider area by using your clone, and the Mordekaiser can just shut that down. He just ults you as soon as he sees you. Then you're limited to only ulting the Mordekaiser. You're not going to do super well in the 1v1 when it's at that point of the game. And if you are forced to use your ult to survive, then you're missing out on that massive team fighting tool. So I personally like the matchup. And I think that it's an opportunity for Kera to show a bit more of what he can do. Typically, we've seen him playing more of his weak side role. And it's not like I expect him to be their strong side. But ultimately, he's going to have a more active role in this game rather than playing his typical picks like the Maokai, like the Soraka, which are very passive picks for the most part. And he will struggle a little bit in the early levels. He is having a few problems here, which is expected, especially against a player of the caliber of Rifty. But essentially just looking to get those later stages and remain relevant.
You can see, though, in this bot lane, there's a lot of fear by Jacob and Girish. Obviously, Chromax sitting in those bushes with that hook ready to go. Always a bit of a threat. Demise quite happy just to farm up a little bit here onto Nemki. Rifty, though, has found Fortel, and he's just going to go for the fight here. Doing a lot of damage. Uses the clone and everything. Fortel getting chunked out by Rifty.
Good find. Just gets damage onto him, forces him away, and now PFI's looking.
Yeah, Kira overstepping, gets caught out by the pillar, brings down the hammer, brings down the slam, the shield's on. So looking to chase for a little bit more. The flash forward and first blood. PFI sinks the fangs in for the kill. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Chromax got chunked out. We missed what happened there. Just action across the board.
Gotta look at the summoners being exhaust and ignite down for Demise. So they have 3 summoners from Bulldog, including the flash from Jacob. So they need some aggression from the bot lane of Demise. I was waiting to see it. This is what you pick the Callista Nautilus for. And they end up burning a lot of those summoner spells. So Jacob now, pretty vulnerable target. Ultimately, in the top side, there's a good read from Rifty to find Fortal, shut down that invade attempt. And then Kira just didn't really have the respect. It's like, your jungler has just been chunked out. He's 38% HP. He's backing away. You can't stay over pushed. And you can see the synergy between Rifty and PFI. As soon as they saw that they needed a flash to get the kill, they both flash. They just eliminate all chance of Kira getting away. And they pick up that first blood. Now PFI on the bot side looking towards his dragon. His bot lane got the reset sooner. They had the wave pushed in. You can see that Jacob had to stay a little bit longer to sort of push the wave out, and as a result they have this opportunity to pick up this dragon uncontested. So good start from Demise so far.
Oh, that's going to be the Infernal Drake picked up nice and early there by PFI with the backup of Chromax. Across the board, pretty solid start. 900 gold lead up. Rifty able to dodge away on pretty much everything Kira sends out, but not dodge away on the passive. Burn too much, the shield too much. Rifty actually now got that Cyclone. He's looking to go all in on Kira. Kira hasn't got quad 6 yet, but Rifty is getting chunked out just by the passive burn of the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, it was a little bit bold of Rifty to go for the call in this situation, but I think you're seeing some of the power of the Mordekaiser when you're up in melee range. Even with the ultimate from Rifty, still didn't really win that one out.
That level
all in
6
all.
is available. Kira doesn't go for the ultimate. Could have avoided the clone by accident there, but now Fortel is looking to chase down Rifty. Rifty is going to make his way out. You can see that PFI hanging in the wings towards this top lane. Spots Fortel out. He's going to pick up the last of this camp, but good stuff by Bulldog on the top lane. Get themselves pretty solid trade versus Rifty.
Bot lane's mostly amounted to a CS discrepancy for now. Not super significant, but it is nice to see you getting something out of this matchup. I want to see them able to find some punish onto Jacob for the lack of summoners. I think level 6 may be the point. For now, though, personally, I want to see them make that play where they lean PFI towards bot side, potentially look for a dive. I think by all means, it's so easy to go for tower dives with the Callista because you can just use the ult to sort of reset the aggro. It looks like decisions being made. Instead, they're going to swap up to that Herald. So not going to punish Jacob too hard right now. If a fight does break out, he's definitely going to be a bit of a vulnerability without that summoner spell.
Rifty's going to start to feel comfortable once that Blade the Ruined King's finished up for him. He's got the Bilgewater Cutlass, so does obviously have that slow to put onto Kira. But getting pulled into that Death Realm can be terrifying. This is that Mordekaiser. Kira went for the Ninja Tabby just to deal with the kind of auto-attacking, but Rifty is doing into him so far. And if you have a look at the map, where the AD carry is Chromax and PFI grouped up. This is exactly what I wanted to say them do. Move around the map together. So it looks like the attention towards the Rift Herald is here for Demise. They are sending everybody topside right now.
You actually see that Jacob and Garish are opting not to match this. They are completely conceding this Herald because they just don't want to get involved with the potential of a fight when there's no flash from Jacob. The Herald's going to go down, and likely they're going to try and transition that into a tower now.
Oh, Thomas actually maybe getting caught out by the Cyclone. Rifty finds an easy kill there with the second cast.
Just a mistake. Thomas Go had no reason to be there. You know they're all around this Herald. You know you don't have to step up. He goes for a greedy ward, gets taken down. Now, Jacob's going to get a lot of damage on this tower. He's got the Crescendum available, so he's just shredding it. And this is actually an extremely hard dive. So I really like this read from Bulldog to bring the Kindred and the Mordekaiser together here. Kindred's ultimate...
What is that gun combination?
I mean, yeah, it's
so
200
dumb.
years of experience. And
that is 4 plates just solo.
And it
with
just
the
means they win against
resistances
the
of
Herald.
all 4 plates.
Yeah, it just means they win against the Herald. And ultimately, we're seeing a situation where the dive was prevented top lane because Mordekaiser Kindred is just so strong. Kindred has the ultimate that obviously makes them unkillable for a period of time. And then Mordekaiser can just ult one person, essentially make it a 2v1 with you against Mordekaiser and the tower. And there's no real way that you win that one. So, smart moves from Bulldog in all honesty. Considering this game was looking pretty solid for Demise in the early levels, they benefited massively from that first trade-off when Demise went for the swap.
Well, we'll have to see where that Herald gets used. Chromax is actually the one who's got it. So they may just look to put the gold in this bot side of the map. A lot of gold given over to Jacob. I'd like to see a quick toggle from our observer, just to see how much gold we're currently sitting on. Currently equal for the AD carries, even with that CS lead for Nemki, just off the back of the plates. But 1,300 gold for Jacob to go and spend. So even though he's equal in gold, he's actually 1,300 gold down at the moment, purely because he hasn't spent that money.
Well, it's not quite the 800. It's more about 1,000 because Nemki hasn't spent a bit of money as well. But ultimately, as much as they're still pretty even in gold, the end result is we're seeing a situation where a team who is looking for that early aggression isn't actually significantly far ahead. They want to maintain that lead, and I think the mid game is really where they want to blow it up, especially if they can use this Herald to knock down this mid tower. But for now, it's a little bit rough. You want more momentum. They are going to try and put down the Herald mid, and if they can break this tower, it's going to be a big asset.
The miasma's been used by Thomas Go early. They're going to stand on top of the ground. It is now Thomas is actually looking to try and sink some of those Twin Fangs in, but they don't actually find enough damage to kill the tower. They need to rotate quick towards bot side because give Jacob the opportunity and he'll be able to take the tower. Meanwhile, in top lane, Rifty does use the Bilgewater Cutlass, flashes forward, goes in for the Cyclone. Kira pulls him into the Death Realm, lands the slam. Rifty gets the second knockup. The health bars are running low on both ends here as Kira needs to just find that last slam. Can't quite get it, but the shield comes through. Rifty dodges away. That was so close.
Flash for flash, ult for ult. Ultimately, the reason Rifty went for that play was because he saw Kara use his shield. With that on cooldown, in a really precarious position, and you can see Kara needing to flash away to buy time. Ends up being a standoff in that situation. But Fortel's going to come up and just starting to put some damage down on this tower. We'll take some honey fruit and just heal up now. Outside the map being pressured a little bit, we can see the Trundle potentially looking in the vicinity, but there is a control ward showing his location. Defensive play ultimately needed here from Jacob and Girish. Just need to keep the tower as healthy as possible. The dive might come in soon.
Yeah, they got that pillar, but the minion wave just gets evaporated by the Infernum. So Jacob's able to cut through that nice and easily. Fortail actually hasn't gone for that stack inside the jungle for PFI for a fair amount of time here. Looks like they're quite okay just leaving that camp open. So Fortail can't get it because he does not feel comfortable to go for the invade. And I'm pretty confident he doesn't have any stacks yet. He may have got one off one of the Scuttle Crabs. We'll have to see, but he wants to hit that 4 stack. Is what we were talking about yesterday on Kindred. That 4th stack is where you get the extra range. That's where it really starts to kind of... That's your first spike with the stacks.
Absolutely is. That's the big one you want to get towards, if possible. Just gives you a real good baseline to work with the champion. I think the range increase is super significant, especially when the composition overall of Bulldog is pretty short range.
Oh.
Mid tower.
I think that miasma just
just
saved the tower, to be honest. I don't think Wolf wanted to walk over that to get that last auto attack him.
Yeah, definitely close. So when that falls, I think mid tower is an important one for sort of setting the pace of the game. Once you break it, it allows you to push the wave deeper, allows you to invade more aggressively into the jungle to establish vision, and it very much makes it difficult to defend these outer towers in the top and bot lane. So if they can break that one, it's significant. But right now, Thomas Go's doing his best just to hold out.
Well, the placing is going to fall off, so they're not going to get that 5th plate in the mid lane. 10 seconds to do. And I do not believe Wolf is going to get close enough. He's trying to hard shove this wave as fast as possible, though. See if he can still find first turret blood. So actually, I believe he'll do on this shove. They went for a blue buff handoff over to Thomas Go, and that will sacrifice the turret. Wolf picks it up. 450 gold in his pocket. He's got the CS lead. He's got the Nashers finished up. And bot lane now. They're going to start to chip away at that tower while PFI maybe looking for something onto Kira. Kira does have that death row coming up.
Just as I'm saying that Bulldog are holding on well. It's kind of a sort of slip up as they go for resets and end up dropping 2 towers fairly quickly, giving a decent lead over to the side of Demise. Now, I believe that ward did see Fortail come in, so he's going to sweep it out and walk away. PFI realizes 2v2. Not really feeling that one, I don't think. Oh, maybe looking for it now.
Yeah, Rifty looks to come forward. Has got that clone. Already taking a lot of damage. The teleport's coming in. Has been pulled inside that death round. So PFI and Fortail just going for a 1v1. Rifty extremely low. That's the ultimate by Wolf to save his life. As Fortail throws out the Lamb's Respite to keep himself alive. It's a 1-for-0 in favor of Demise.
And Kara's so close to winning that 1v1, but ultimately the claw didn't quite grab Rifty. And then just then, the ultimate times out from the Mordekaiser. Wolf is able to intervene and he quickly shuts him down. So good moves from Demise to commit to that one. 2v2 wouldn't necessarily gone their way, but Wolf TP's in and they managed to find favor. Thomas Go not opting to join the fight in that situation. In fairness, there weren't really any good wards in position. But there definitely was one that could have been placed down by Fortail. Now that's going to be the 3rd tower taken and the Rift Herald from PFI. So this game that we felt Bulldog were holding on well to, they kind of just lost a grasp on pretty quickly.
We'll lose that turret in the bot side. The minions are able to take it. So this is some kind of answer route, but 3-for-1. You can see the gold on your screen right now. Mid up massively. 80 carries up as well. 900 gold lead over to Nemki right now. Every lane is behind, bar the jungle right now. It looks like they may be setting up something here onto Wolf. We'll have to see if they want to go for the play. Wolf smells something as a rise. Even Kira's roamed down. Ocean Drake is spawning up, and it looks like Bulldog, they're wanting to fight here. They don't want to give this dragon over and put it one away from Soul Point. But it looks like we might have a bit of a fight on our hands here. They're making their way forward. That's going to be the dragon secured, and Demise kind of caught sleeping. They went for a reset just before, and it cost them the dragon.
And actually, fortunately, there's no tier 1 mid to sacrifice there. Normally, going so heavily in numbers over towards the dragon could leave your mid tower vulnerable. Because it's already down, they don't have that concern. They secure the ocean. They deny that soul for at least an extra 5 minutes, which is a really nice thing to do. So good moves from Bulldog. Obviously felt like As I said, the game slipped a little bit out of control, feeling a little bit dicey, but they managed to bring it back under wraps. Just give them a little bit more time to scale up. Still down 4,000. A little bit more breathing room. Not here for Kira, though.
Yeah, they use that cyclone. They're going to pull one into the death round. Rifty go 1v1 versus Kira. Kira has to flash the wall as the rest of the team chase him down. Rifty secures the kill. With that Rift Herald as well, they may just throw it down in this top lane. Try and crack open this next turret. Get onto those tier 2s if possible.
And unfortunately, the ultimate just CC'd for Kara for so long that by the time he'd ulted, he was already too low to win the 1v1. Ends up bearing the flash as well, and the team not in a position to defend. So good move coming out from Demise. Catching Kara out, just overstepping a little bit.
Yeah, they even get that second charge out, so that turret is going to get chunked down. Wolf actually going for the Crystal Scepter as his second item here on the Azir. Going for the slow build.
I think using his range advantage quite a bit. You obviously have quite a few short-range champions on the side of Bulldog. Jacob really only going to get that extra range with the Calibrum and using the ultimate. And it means that essentially if Wolf can just stay at a long distance, he's not really going to get traded back onto, and the slow can just sort of provide help for his team. We often see Azir sometimes go towards the Ludens, sometimes just pick up the Lost Chapter for the mana. He is fully committed to hitting these spikes as soon as possible, being as threatening as he can, as early as he can. And the trade-off is he has less mana to work with, but ultimately he keeps getting the blues handed over by PFI, so it's not too concerning. I think, just looking at the rest items across the board, significant one is we have the 2-item spike for Nemki on this Ballista, the Blading King and the Runans. That is the big spike for this champion, where she really starts to be a significant threat in these team fights with all those Ren stacks building up.
Got Baron Nashor spawning up in 40 seconds. Maybe Demise want to look to go towards it. They've got Double Blade the Ruin King. They've got Wolf with the Nashors. They actually have a very, very quick Baron this early on in the game. With a little bit extra AD and AP. I know it's not a lot, but they get a little bit extra from that Infernal Drake. And obviously the stats will help them. And they may just look for it. We'll have to see. They're looking for the vision at the moment. They want to get control of the area. They will spot out some of these wards.
Baron spawn in 10 seconds. Means that's going to be the big objective that you can potentially threaten. I think ultimately being 2 dragons away from the soul means there's not too much concern, although it is an ocean soul, which is extremely powerful. You don't really want to give that one up if you can help it. But Baron's the one where if you leave it up and available can be a bit scary. They have an extremely strong Baron with Callisto and Azir, and the Rend, once it's built up, makes it very easy to secure. So if you do leave the side of Demise alone for a little bit of time, they will just take this Baron. And now they've actually done a lot of work in this matchup. Kara he wants the extended trades, he wants the all-ins. He can't deal with this constant poke. Rifty using the Sheen proc to maximum effectiveness.
They just use the Scryer there. Rifty going for the all-in, this time underneath the tower, but it's too little, it's too late. He's on a killing spree, 3-0. With that, that should just signal the start of the Baron. Chromax trying to see if he can find anybody out. They use the Scryer. That's the last Scryer down. And they've still got the vision control. They've still got that dominance on this side of the map. Bulldog, they're going to start at the Baron now. There's a little bit of time until Kira spawns up. He will have that teleport in 10 seconds. Rifty's gone to base and he's looking for that flank if he can find it. There are wards behind and he's coming in. Miasma's been used. They got the ultimate. Chromax looks to jump in forward, hooks onto the wall, but Rifty jumps in forward. Jacob has been caught out by the depth charge and Rifty is going to jump into him, but Jacob puts some damage back into his face. The shielding is there and Jacob is still alive. He can't hold on for long as Rifty will take him down. Fortail gets chunked out as well, but Thomas Go does at least answer back. It's a 1-for-2 in favor of Bulldog.
And they get a shutdown from Rifty as well onto the Cassiopeia. Ultimately, a very messy fight coming out from the side of Demise. Just really uncoordinated overall, and they end up paying pretty heavily. They're still ahead, but this is not going to cost them the dragon, so just a bit of a mistake coming now. I'm not liking that play. And the fact that it's costing the second dragon is not ideal, we'll say.
I mean, that's crazy as well. Like, it just with the amount of vision control they set up, it looked like a perfect setup for the dragon. The threat on the other side of the map gets killed by Rifty. They go for the Baron, and it falls flat. It's played so well by Bulldog. I think Thomas Goes Miasma was actually really, really clutch. It was placed down at the beginning, but it just made this massive slow zone that made it really hard for Demise to actually collapse. And Bulldog kind of just peeled back into the darkness in that fight. And now they're kind of scratching their heads on what they do next. The Dragon's gone down, and this should have been their soul with the lead they had, with the pressure they've had, but they've given up those 2 oceans now to the side of Bulldog. And the scary thing is Jacob is getting closer and closer to being that kind of late game hyper carry. He's got the Infinity Edge, he's got the Runans. And you saw how hard he was to kill in that last fight. Once the Death Dance comes through, it gets even harder.
Well, at least that's a consistent thing. Now with the Triforce completed, Rifty still finding the solo kills.
Oh.
Just a bit rough to see for Kara, but so now signaling them to go towards the Baron again. And it is a fast Baron. Scryer's Orbs available on 2 members, but Bulldog need to respond quickly.
Yeah, and it looks like they're not even ready. They're not on position to go for it. Spotted out, the Scryers comes down, and now they're having a purple towards this Baron, but I think the Baron is done. Nemki's got enough spears. This is an easy secure. Demise find Baron Nasher as Bulldog just caught sleeping.
And Kara is kind of bleeding out in the side lane. We talked about the veterancy of Rifty, someone who has been in the scene for such a long time, multiple titles under his belt. Proven why right now. Situation where Mordekaiser are not having too much success. It gave the window for them to start the Baron. And you can see that the Scrying Orb came down too late. Bulldog just said, nah, we're not even close. We're not going to get in range. It's now going to be a 7,000 gold difference. The important thing here is that they still have this Baron to work with and start breaking down objectives. There is the shining light that Bulldog have been able to deny 2 dragons from Demise, so they're not at that soul yet, but Demise still looking strong enough, Kara in trouble.
Rifty is just going to annihilate Kira here. Second Cyclone comes down, the Flash and the Wild Growth used. This answer pick to Rifty's Wukong just has fallen short here. And now with the Baroned up minions, with the Azir, with the Siege available to the side of Demise, it feels like these towers are going to start to just crumble.
My question really to Kira is, why haven't you opted for at least a Seeker's Arm Guard? Just for the armor up against Rifty, who's doing so much physical damage. Even the Zhonya's would be enough to sort of keep you alive when he tries to dive you, but at bare minimum, grab the Seeker's Arm Guard, more armor. Your only job is to hold Rifty in the side lane, and you're failing at it, and it just means you're bleeding out your team. Looking to push up mid here, but Rifty's also putting the pressure down bot, and Kara can do nothing.
Yeah, he's going to use the ultimate onto him as well. Rifty and Kara going for the fight. 1 versus 1. Kara once again will lose out. Rifty find himself an easy kill. He's just healing up so quick with the double vamp.
It's not pretty, and this has sort of become the win condition now. The split push pressure just cannot be answered right now for Bulldog, and they're going to look to siege down this mid lane tower.
That's going to go a little bit wide. Fortail takes a fair amount of damage as this turret will be crushed by Demise. Rifty got that Cyclone coming up in a second. Hasn't quite got the flash yet, but it's there. Jacob now knocked up by the depth charge, into the hook, into the pillar. The Land Respite will buy him some space, buy him some time as Jacob's trying to heal up for a moment. He's trying to put the damage down, is still alive. PFI is being melted. Jacob, what a turn around the AD carry. Wolf looks to cut him down, but the Sand Soldiers is unable to do so. You can't kill Jacob.
That's the power of the Lulu combined with the Aphelios is why it's one of these top tier bot lanes you're seeing at the moment. He's just so difficult to kill. The ult from Fortal was perfect to keep him alive, and then you can see him get ramped up. He's got the Conqueror, the healing starts to come in, and he just managed to survive all that damage and then dish out so much himself. You can never expect to have just won the game against an Aphelios because there's always that chance he just decimates your entire team, and we saw that right there.
Once he's got that death dance, it's going to be really, really rough if those kind of fights break out again. We got 17 seconds until the Ocean Drake. The Wild Growth will be coming up fairly quickly. I don't think it's going to be up perfectly in time as Fortail, his Land Respite isn't available either. So a lot of that ult economy down, but same can be said here for Demise. It looks like Bulldog, they're okay giving up this dragon. It's not soul. They managed to get the last 2. It will be soul point, but it's not the end of the world.
Puts them close, but doesn't put them over the line. So That's the importance of taking those earlier dragons. It gives you breathing room. So now another 5 minutes till the soul. Obviously, you do want to contest that one, but just allows Bulldog to take a step back. Make sure their base is in a good condition. And then you're waiting for the Baron in 2 minutes. That's like the objective they want to contest. You take a little bit of stock of their experience in the game. Right now, 50 with a 3-level lead over Kera. But ultimately, we're seeing PFI now falling behind compared to Fortal. And Jacob's matched up to Nemki. Thomas Go is 1 down on Wolf. But mostly the experience has started to be clawed back. And when we look at the goal difference, there is differences across the board. But it's only really top lane whether it's that significant difference. And if they can have a chance to mitigate the effectiveness of Rifty with the Lamb's Respite, with the Polymorph and the Lulu, there's still a chance they can win these team fights.
Absolutely. They didn't lose the inhibitor as well, which is key. They've got a minute until the Baron comes up. Jacob just trying to funnel as much gold into him as possible. That Death Dance could be what decides these next few fights. The ability to kill Jacob. His flash is up, his exhaust is down, but should be up fairly quick.
So when he really becomes a tank, as soon as he picks up that item. Nemki, you can see, has a Death Dance to himself. Also has the Executioner's Calling to try and mitigate the healing, which is pretty spread across the board. Everyone has a little bit healing on the side of Bulldog, except really Girish. And if you can land some of those Ren stacks onto Jacob, can make a difference from just standing up. He doesn't quite have the Death Dance, and that would be a big tool to have available to you going into this next team fight. For now, he just has to hold on.
The man on your screen, though, Rifty, 7-1-2. Death Dance played the Ruin King, and Trinity Force finished up onto him. He is such a nuisance. He's such a problem. We'll get pulled in by Kira. Kira's going to do a fair amount of damage to him. He's able to send him back in. This inhibitor, though, getting sieged up. They need to keep Jacob alive. He's going to throw out the Graviton ult, catch out a couple of members instantly. The Lance Respite still available to Fortel. They're trying to put the damage in. He's going to use it there. As Thomas goes trying to zone members away. The heal comes out from the Lance Respite. And now Kira looking to get Tower Dove here. Has got that shield on for the moment. He has to flash away from Rifty. Rifty has to flash away from the grab. Inhibitor will still stand, but look at the pings. They are bolting towards that Baron. Demise get the kill on the top laner, and they want the Nash.
And you could tell that Bulldog felt the pressure. They wanted to engage. They forced it so heavily. And ultimately, the way you win those fights is when the enemy team engages onto you, not the other way around. That Thomas Goes is going down.
Yeah, Thomas actually can use the Petrifying Gaze. He's got a lot of damage from the Leandris. The healing's there for Rifty, though. In comes Fortel. He finds himself the shutdown. They lose their mid, but the split pusher has lost Baron.
It's something, but it's not exactly great. Rifty maybe overstaying a little bit in that situation, but Demise getting the Baron. 2 minutes as well until they have that Ocean Soul available for them. The game is on a knife's edge for Bulldog right now.
Yeah, 10,000 gold in the lead here for the side of Demise, as they're looking to push in to the base.
So the gold is consistently increased over the course of the game. There are some little flat spots where they lost momentum, but it just expanded and expanded to the point right now, just shy of a 10,000 gold lead.
Jacob's now finished off his Death Dance. All eyes are on him. Can he carry this next fight? You can see that Nemki now has bought himself the QSS.
A lot of effectiveness from the item. Works against Kera for the Death Realm. Also against a Petrifying Gaze, a Polymorph from Girish. I'm actually surprised that Rifty doesn't go for it, but he's preferring just the raw stats from Spectre's Carl. Has a stopwatch as well in his pocket, and he's setting up this top wave. Gonna push that one in without the Baron buff, but just applying that side lane pressure again as Demise are posturing around this mid lane. Now, they do not want to over push into the enemy base. They don't want to overstep and potentially risk losing a fight by funneling into Jacob once again.
Thomas has the Petrifying Gaze. They're going to put the turret down. It's going to do a fair amount of damage here momentarily, but not overstepping, not overcommitting into the face of that inhibitor. Rifty continues to push away in this top side. Someone has to go answer him out. He's got a bit of big wave stacked out. Jacob with the Infernum, though, should be able to cut through it nice and quick. And that's going to be the end of Rifty's shove for the moment, although Rifty may just look to sacrifice some health to take this tower down.
I think he regrets
Kira's going to make his way over. Yeah, he thinks better of that.
Those things are tanky when you have minions. Now, Ocean Dragon spawning now. This is Soul if Demise can get it. And they're pathing straight towards it. Bulldog wanting to contest this one because it's just so much power if you can get the Ocean Soul. They're going to just slowly move up, but the response from Demise is just to push up mid lane. Kara's alone.
Yeah, Kira's alone. Is going to instantly caught out for the moment. Uses that Death Realm onto Chromax, but the rest of the team is just going for the inhibitor. Over the wall, Bulldog are fighting for their lives. Fortail is inside the pit. Jacob's on the flank. They're trying to pull them back with the ultimate, but Jacob is cutting through members. Left, right, and center. Wolf's going to go golden. The dragon is secured. Bulldog find two, but Demise are inside their base. The Cassiopeia is alive. Turret number one's going to go down. Thomas Go has to find a massive fight here. Flashes over the petrifying gaze, catches out onto two. Rifty throws down the cyclone. In comes Fortail. In comes the backup. Nemki finds the kill. Jacob has to save the day. He's flashing forward. Rifty gets instantly polymorphed. The Fortail is not going to take him down. Can Rifty end the game here? Hero moments for Rifty. 33 minutes on the clock, and Bulldog fall to Demise.
What a call coming out just to keep pushing up mid lane, finding that chance to finish the game. And we saw it ramping up there from the Aphelios. Just so powerful in those late game team fights, but it just wasn't enough to win the game. The side lane pressure from Rifty was just instrumental. And once again, just a great performance from the veteran of the team. And I will say one thing I noticed is we talk about how strong Death Stance is as an item. Death Stance just cost Bulldog the game.
Absolutely.
And the reason being is because the burn damage on it stops you from recalling. And actually, I saw what happened. The Aphelios was trying to recall and couldn't. He was trying to get the recall in, Jacob was. He couldn't do it because he had the burn. It delayed him by a few seconds. And if you looked at Rifty's health, that was the difference. That literally was the difference there. Him not being able to recall. So as much as the item's broken, it cost you that one.
What a hype way to end the game. It looked like they almost held on. They almost saved it. But Jacob unable to get back to the base in time to save the day. And with that, Demise do go 2-0 on their first week of the UKLC. Now, we do have Wolf standing by ready for an interview. So we're going to cut to a quick break while we get that set up. We'll be back for our interview with Wolf, the mid laner for Demise, after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're going to have a quick interview with Wolf, the mid laner for Demise. Wolf, hello. How are you doing, buddy?
Wonderful.
I mean, what a game. What a game. Because, like, that was looking... I mean, you had a lot of control over that game throughout the entire, throughout the mid and into the late game. But there must have been a moment where you were a little scared about Jacob on that Aphelios. What was going through your head when you went for that siege and multiple times Jacob kind of 1v9'd in some of those fights?
Yeah, it was a little bit worrying, to be honest, but then we had a really good split push. Rifty just played so bloody well that game. He was absolutely amazing, and because of his split push on the sides, we knew it was just a matter of time before he would draw pressure for us, and so we would win through that.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment. Rifty did a great job, but I don't think you kind of would have necessarily planned for a situation where it comes down to him being, 10% HP finishing the Nexus. How are the emotions there during that moment?
It definitely got a bit cluttered towards the end, for sure. I think I wasn't worried at all, though. I have faith in my team. I think at the end of the day, like, we were scaling really well. I knew we were massively ahead. I knew it was just a matter of time and getting the correct fight, and we could have ended it.
I think cluttered is probably my favorite word for describing probably what was really quite a crazy team comms. Sorry. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the bigger picture as well, because obviously that game was insanely hyped to watch, and I'm sure it was just as hyped to win. But let's have a little look at the kind of like take a step back on the week. You've gone 2-0 on your first week of the UKLC. How confident does that make you going into the next week, into week 2 of games?
I'm very confident, to be honest, though. We're not going to get too ahead of ourselves, though, but we're definitely looking to absolutely go out there next week and smash it and take another 2-0, hopefully.
So right now, you guys are actually guaranteed top 2 at the end of this week, because later on, the other teams who have a potential of making 2-0, Enclave and M&M, face off. So out of those two, which one do you think will match you on the 2-0 score? And out of those, do you think one of them is a sort of team for you to beat?
I would say Enclave, to be honest, out of all of them. I'd say it's probably the team to beat. I know they've got some really, really strong players in the team. M&M have as well, but I think based on the games I saw yesterday, I think Enclave just have a slightly better roster in terms of skill. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
And next week you're playing London in the first day of games, at the end of the day. So what's the mentality going into that? Because obviously London are a very stacked roster. They did lose today. Does that show you guys some kind of expose some weaknesses for them that you're looking to exploit? Or how are you feeling going into your game next week versus London, starting out versus, one of the strongest teams we've got in the UKLC?
On paper, I want to say.
On paper, yeah, on paper.
They are a very strong team on paper. They look very strong. But once again, Bertie didn't have a great performance in this last game on the Orn. So I think when we have Rifty on our team, and I think as long as our lanes are doing as well as they've been playing, like our bot lane's been doing really well, PFI's been doing really well, I think we can take them because we do have a better team, I believe.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your win. 2-0 on the week for Demise Wolf in the mid lane. Go collect your thoughts. Go calm down after such a hype game. We are going to cut to a quick break, guys, and we'll be back with game number 3. Coming up after the break, it'll be Munster Rugby Gaming Academy taking on Barrage Academy. You don't want to miss this one. It'll be a doozy. See you after the break.